Welcome to another episode of First Down by CoachTools. Today I'm here with Coach Matthew Bullock. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you for having me. Thank you for what you're doing, the content you produce, giving coaches such as myself an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, it truly is an honor, Coach. And Coach Bullock is the head powerlifting and assistant coach at Veterans. And how do you what's the official name? Veterans Memorial Football.
Yes, sir. Veterans Memorial. We're in the Judson Independent School District, located out of San Antonio.
Awesome. So to get things started, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you ultimately got involved in your current role? And for the audience watching as well, he's obviously involved in powerlifting and also had an internship with the XFL. So really excited to talk with you today.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you. I come from a family of educators. I have my uncles, my aunt, my grandfather, my great aunt. They were all teachers, so I knew that the possibility of being in academic realm wasn't too far fetched. I was blessed at a high school to get a football scholarship to Texas A&M Kingsville. Redshirted my first year, played the other three, got to the position where I could graduate early. I've always been into school. And so I decided to forego my last year, and I went to Texas State for my master's degree. Once I got out of there, I went back to my high school where I did JV basketball, and I was a college and career readiness. So I was the guy you saw in regard to setting up the SAT, the ACT, colleges, scholarships, etc. I ended up getting certified in special education as well as the English cert, and then that pretty much led to, I guess, becoming a teacher. I did middle school for 7 years, and then I in the Northside Independent School District, transitioned into the Judson ISD, where I did 2 years in middle school, and then now I'm at my current role at Veterans Memorial High School. I've served anywhere as far as like a basketball coach to currently right now as the head powerlifting coach in football. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Just happy in the position that I've been on the offensive side, and now I'm on the defensive side, loving it. Fits with my personality.
Awesome. So can you tell me more about your playing experience and how that's ultimately helped you as a coach, both at the middle school and high school levels?
My what experience?
Your playing experience?
I always like to teach from history, from the things that I have encountered. And so by playing and seeing the things that I struggled with, some of the more which what I struggled with is pretty much the conversation that I have with my athletes. Going into the middle school, pretty much putting the building blocks, because there's only so much that you can really teach at that level, but just pretty much instilling the seeds, and then also getting to the high school level, seeing how the fruition has come. I've been lucky to be in a position to talk to young men who have been receptive to my teaching, especially when I'm able to talk about those which I failed in, as far as like, performing on the field, the mental blocks that I had when I was a student, how it's effective even nowadays, how to shop yourself around to colleges. What are colleges looking for? Once you get to college and, after you put that tweet out, do you know necessarily what you're going to be involved in? Because, now and technically it's kind of a business in a way. And so,
Oh yeah.
I've been able to, have those conversations, whether at the middle school level to the high school level. The biggest gift that I get is when I have my students, they go through high school or they finish and they're like, not that it was easy, but because of the conversations we had and because of how I coached and taught them, nothing was new for them. They were
Right.
ready for it.
Right. And I think that's one of the most important things. And we talked about going back to middle school days. So the year that I graduated from college in 2021, I went back to my middle school and I coached seventh and eighth grade.
Hmm.
And that level, it's just like you were saying, it's just focusing on the fundamentals and really
Yes.
just making sure that they are prepared for that next level. And then fast forward in a couple of years to when they get to high school, have just expanding that base, those base fundamentals to the point where they are prepared to play at the next level, just like they were when they
Absolutely.
transitioned earlier. So, I find that to be one of the main things that I, at least in my year of coaching experience, I focused on. And, it's cool to hear guys like yourself just talk about that. And it also from the powerlifting perspective, I know a lot of high school kids, especially when they go to college, they might not be as prepared for the weight room. So, can you talk about that and how you help prepare kids to get to a college weight room, essentially?
So our powerlifting program, initially it was a pilot program. This is my third year getting ready to start up. When we talk about as far as like just knowing the basic lifts, things that college coaches or the college strength coordinators are looking for themselves. That was one of the biggest conflicts I have, regardless of what the sport, but especially in powerlifting, is that what philosophy do I follow? So during the summertime, I link up with UTSA. I'm blessed to go coach in some of their camps, talking with other universities, whether social media or in person at camps. And a lot of times they're looking for your basics, your squat, your deadlift, your bench press, and maybe there's a few auxiliary lifts. So I essentially take that information, and that's pretty much what I present to my students. If you want to go to the next level, if you want to know what it is that they're looking for, here it is for verbatim. You don't have to go look on social media or anything else. I'm telling you from my understanding of what they're doing, as well
Right.
as the things that I struggled with as far as like building muscle. And even when I was in college, a lot of times when we lifted, it was more just for us to keep the physique, but also to stay at a playing shape. It wasn't necessarily always like development or evolving, because that would
Right.
come, throughout the off season. And so a lot of my players, they've built into it. The one thing I love is that after a few weeks, we always go back to test. And whether we win a meet or not, there's always personal growth. And that's the one thing that I try to instill with these young men and these young ladies is that, are you growing? People get real caught up on stagnation in every area of their life. And I think in powerlifting, the numbers don't lie. You grew,
Right.
you did better.
Exactly. So going back to when I must have been 13 or 14 years old. So I went to I went to Malvern Prep, which is outside of Philadelphia, but I went to a powerlifting coach at another high school, and he taught me like the core lifts when I was in seventh and eighth grade, and just learning at that young age like how to grind, how to just get strong. That
Hmm.
propelled me, for success in high school. And later on in high school, I actually competed in powerlifting too. So it's cool,
Okay.
we're talking about this. So the guy who was the coach there, his name was Bob McCloskey, and he's the kind of guy who he's just going to push you no matter what. He brings that
Hmm.
energy every single day,
Yes,
and
sir.
that's the mentality that I brought when I was in high school and when I played in college, and now I bring it in the business world. It's something that I always talk about. It's when you're a student athlete, you bring those values to the real world whether it's
Hmm.
business, whether it's coaching or something else. So, can you talk about that and some more values that you've learned as a player that have served you in like the coaching profession and also as a teacher?
Values that I learned as a player, I would say, is the commitment. High school playing football, especially if you don't love it, is extremely hard. Much less any sport, much less anything that you're a part of, relationship or not, or academics. Playing in this Texas heat, um, Texas A&M Kingsville is a Division two, so they necessarily don't have the money and allocations like a lot of other universities have. So you really have to ask yourself, how much do I love this? Uh, Being committed, sticking with it, especially when you feel like your coaches aren't sticking with you, when things are falling down by the wayside, especially in your grades. Can you keep this going? I think it forced me to pretty much step up and really um, focus. Is this what I really want? And then as I'm doing this, what is it that I'm getting out of it? I'm getting an education. I'm becoming a better person. I absolutely believe the commitment, the loyalty aspect, the fidelity that, young men and young women show, they definitely play a part, because now you could be a better student. If you could run those sprints after going through a grueling practice, you can get up and go to class on time.
Right.
Days that you felt like that you wanted to walk out, but you decided that you to stick there, to stick it in with your brothers or your sisters, that kind of commitment, I also believe, will flourish over into relationships. I think it will help a young man be a better father, a young lady be a better mother when times get hard, and you stick it out. It's the development process,
Yeah,
from
without a
when you
doubt.
were in high school and middle school. So I
Yeah.
definitely, attribute, whatever my strengths are, sticking around or being committed or seeing something through, I definitely go all the way back to sports as well, especially with powerlifting, because in powerlifting, it's you versus you.
Right.
It's not really a team, it's you versus you. And so hopefully I said that correctly.
Yeah, and that's why I love powerlifting too, because it's all about continuous improvement and like you were saying, just never getting satisfied with where you were at the last day. And
Hmm.
you can have a good meet, but you could also make mental errors or and the
Hmm.
thing is the last meet that I ever competed in, I my first two bench presses, I lifted my back came off the bench. So my
Hmm.
first two ones I didn't get cleared. I didn't get the is it the white light?
Yeah, you probably got the red lights
I got the
and
red
they
light,
gave you
yeah.
that scratch.
So yeah, so
2 out of 3.
so two I was two out of three. And then on my last one, I hit a PR and didn't come off the bench. So that's the kind of thing. And going back to the values that you learn, you know, for me as a Division 3 guy, it's the same thing like you were saying as a Division 2 athlete. I learned how to focus, to be dedicated, but also be loyal because especially if you're not in a winning program at that
Mhm.
level, it's really tough. And over the years, when I was at Gettysburg, we had some losing teams, and a lot of my teammates decided not to play anymore. And those are the things that you just have to decide, like what are your priorities? What's important to you, not only as an athlete, but as a student. Like some of my teammates decided not to play because of injuries, but no right or wrong way to go about it. But I think regardless of you deciding to do it or not doing it, I think those are the things that you learn is just to not only stay dedicated, but have a singular focus. And then in the long run, like I also talk about this too on the podcast, like having a long-term temporal perspective where
Mhm.
what you do in the off season, that's going to help you come, November, December when things are
Absolutely.
actually mattering.
People don't get that. You plant the seeds early, and then in that November and December when it's time for playoffs, when we're coming to the end of the district, when people start failing, it's really the opportunity where you start stepping up. The thing is that I try to explain to my young men is that you were prepped for this, so there's nothing to be surprised about. You were
Right.
prepped for this.
Yeah.
This is easy now.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I think the true champions they're made not when the coach is yelling at you when he's saying, "Hey, when you're doing a sprint, you better touch the line." I think it's
Hmm.
when your coach isn't there, when you're alone, what are you doing to make yourself better? And I think
Absolutely.
that's truly what makes those, the good people great in my opinion.
Hmm. And we separate. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, no, great stuff there. So, I'd like to, keep these conversations short and sweet. So, any last words of advice, coach, you want to share with the audience?
If there was anything that I wanted to share, because I watched some of the interviews and a lot of things I saw kind of hovered around as far as like probably young people coming into the coaching aspect or, in education. And I guess I'll just say this for anything anyone's pursuing: make sure you love what you do. Make sure you love what you do, especially if you decide to come on this side in regard to the coaching or into the educational part, because I think it was Coach Hines, he said it best. The only people that are going to remember about the time that you invested in the hard work that went into it, mentally, emotionally, physically, is going to be your family. And that's why I thank God every day for my wife, because when I had got with Veterans Memorial, I didn't necessarily know how much it was going to take from me or, take me out of, my household. She's done a phenomenal job. She's unselfish. She comes to all of my games. My parents, they all encourage me when I have, bad days. So I think that's the most important part, regardless of whatever you do. The second most important thing is please make sure that whatever profession you're in or what staff you're working for, that you're with a staff that evolves. I believe in foundational evolution. You have a program, it has a foundation. But I do steer away from people who are back in my day. I'm old school. This is how we do. Because I believe whether in education or the business world, such as yourself, you have to adapt to your audience and you're constantly evolving. And I think sometimes young people, they may get burnt out by stagnation, if that makes sense. So love
Definitely.
what you do and continue to grow. Those are my two things. And those have separated me and it's opened a lot of doors. And, having a loving background and loving family members such as my wife, she's my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, and it's great to see your energy and enthusiasm because if you truly love what you do, it's easy to go to work every day, and it's not even you know for what I'm doing, and it's really been a I'm blessed to have this experience because I came from being a player, and then I got a little bit into coaching, and I always knew I wanted to be involved in the game somehow and help coaches and athletes, but I got into this avenue with my business and I'm still involved in helping coaches and being able to talk with guys such as yourself. So, it really is a blessing and appreciate you taking the time today, coach.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, continue to evolve, whether it's at the XFL level or collegiate, high school, etc. Doors will open. Just yeah, keep God first and just stay positive.
Yes, sir. All right, coach. Thank you again.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having me. Merry Christmas to you and good luck.
Thank you. You as well.